Hey,
Hello.
hey.
You can hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Does it sound good? Does it sound bad?
It sounds perfect.
Does it sound better if I tap my nails on it?
You want me to tap my nails?
Yeah, because you actually have some. I don't. Come, hold my hand. Let's go on an adventure. Hey, hi. Welcome to Momatic Adventures. I am here with, can I call you Drea or would you prefer I call you
That's fine.
Andrea? I'm going to butcher this now. So, Andrea Altamura.
Yeah, that's it. You did
Sorry, I
it.
didn't butcher it. I've only practiced 3 times in the mirror, but only three. So, hi, let's chat. Tell me a little bit about who you are apart from parenting and travel, just like who you are, what your deal is.
Well, my name is Andrea Altamura. You totally nailed it.
Yes.
I am an elder millennial, former emo kid, photographer, artist, art school graduate, homeowner, wife, mom, cat mom,
Daddy.
all the above.
Cat mom.
Yeah,
1 cat?
3 cats.
That's too many.
3 cats, 100 plants, a baby, a house,
A partner.
a partner, an Italian,
Ooh.
a child of immigrants.
That's fun though, right? Usually.
Yeah.
That's got to be like a learning experience constantly.
Mhm.
Well, so I have a question about that, but I'm going to jump into you mentioned your parents and photography. I know that you are a photographer by trade. That's your profession. That's what people pay you to do because you're fucking good at it. So first I want you to tell me a little bit about like your life as a photographer and dealing with kids prior to becoming a parent.
Prior to becoming a parent, kids have always kind of been involved in what I do. I don't necessarily consider myself like a kids photographer. I don't do like mommy and me minis, and I don't do like the red truck setup on Christmas, and like I don't do that type of photography. But when dealing with baby showers, bridal showers, weddings where there's children, and usually in wedding parties and things like that, I've always been around kids. I'm also one of 6 kids, and my older siblings all have kids. And I used to work in a gym that did kids' classes. So I have my own experience in dealing with them. I feel like most kids, I don't want to say relate to me, but they respond well to me. So even when I have like a ring bearer that's throwing a tantrum, or I have, a flower girl that doesn't want to be in the photo, I'm usually able to get on their level and like at least coax them into a couple photos before they totally lose it. I think prior to becoming a parent, I did decide to be a parent as a choice. Like I knew that I wanted to get married, have a house, and then have a kid and deal with that when I was like in a better position to do it. So I didn't want to be one of those people that judged other people's parenting. And I didn't want to be like an ignorant person that would always be like, wow, you guys are really making this seem harder than it is, not having a child.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could be just idealistic and I could just be full of shit because I don't have a kid and I don't know what it's like personally, in the grand scheme of things. However, having my kid now, I do feel a little validated in all those opinions that I had before, because I do feel like most people want to just commiserate on things. And when I would be like, ooh, they'd be like, well, you'll see when you have yours, and they don't want to blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, I don't know. I just feel like,
I can relate to this so very, very much, only because I literally just had a conversation with someone who basically was like, I'm gonna quote unquote kidnap these kids, right? First of all, bad word, but like, and then I'm gonna train them to do all the things to be bad kids in order to teach you a lesson about parenthood was like essentially the goal. And I was like, wow, that's such a fucked up way to look at parenting.
well, I feel
That
like people want to
sucks.
commiserate for every milestone that people go through, is that like, if you're with somebody long enough, they'll be like, when are you getting married? And then you'll be like, we're getting married. And they're like, oh, you're going to get married? And then when you're with somebody long enough, they're like, when are you going to have kids? And then when you have kids, they're like, ugh, you want to have kids? It's
Hey,
like,
kids,
Jesus Christ.
you're having
Winning this?
another one? Yeah, no, there isn't. That's the whole thing though. You're never gonna win. Didn't you watch the Barbie movie?
Oh, right. Yeah, it's literally supposed to be a woman. Yeah.
It's hard to fucking be a person for the
Yeah.
most part.
So I don't know. I mean, obviously it's not super easy. It's not like
Yeah,
the kid is being relentless and won't go to sleep or is, whatever, that you can just like walk away and be like, I don't feel like being a parent right now. Like, or you have to take a shit and there's nobody to watch the kid. So, all right. So you're going to sit in the tub while I take a shit so that you don't fall
yeah.
into something, that kind of thing. And, or like today where she refused to take her nap and I gave her a bottle and I'm trying to let her cry it out because I know she's just exhausted. And there are days like that, but most of the time, like the kid
It's wonderful.
everything. She's like a
Yeah.
happy, smiley baby. She just learned how to high five yesterday. So
Oh
now
my gosh.
and yeah, she goes with people. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that like I didn't want to make parenting. My life is already complicated enough as it is. Running my own business, having a house that's a 2-family, that's a fixer-upper where I have renters, and having the cats and my plants and everything else, and trying to edit in between feeding her and putting her down for her naps and client calls and doing whatever. I didn't want to make my life any harder by putting weird restrictions on her. Like I didn't want to, like the 2 weeks after I came home from the hospital, I already took her out and she was in the car and we were going places. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to make it so that she was scared to go into the car seat. I didn't want to make it so that she was scared for other people to hold her. So I let my mom, my
Everyone.
sisters, everyone, here, hold your hands.
Yeah.
You wash your hands, cool, hold her.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put her in a bubble where then she's only drinking breast milk and then she didn't want formula. So I had her have both in case I couldn't do one or the other. And
Yeah.
then as soon as she had that first tooth pop out, I started letting her chew on, like the rice puffs and the
Things or whatever. Yeah.
Fiore's or whatever, and now she'll eat literally anything. Today she had sweet potato, bananas, apples. She had a rice thing mixed in with hemp seed and some formula. She had half of an arancini ball, pork meat,
Okay.
and peas, and red sauce.
It's like 3:30 in the afternoon. She's eaten too much. Like,
I know, and she eats, and
take a break.
she has the wagon wheels and all the other whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
so okay, we jumped. You have one kid. Yes.
I do have one kid.
I am lucky enough to have witnessed this fucking dope kid. And so I've been able to be involved and see like your growth and her growth. But like after having kids, what was that like incorporating your whole, like, it sounds like you made the intentional thought to become a parent. You made that decision and now you're in it. You're parenting. You are having her be a part of your life through and through. Like, what intentional decisions do you make throughout the day when you're working, when you give her a bottle, when you let her cry it out? Like, what is that like for you now? How does that make you feel?
I think, well, like I said, I didn't want to make anything else any more difficult for me than I would have already being a new mom. So, what I knew that I wanted to do in the first place was like get her on a schedule like immediately, because that way I would be able to schedule client meetings or schedule things that I need to do around the house or anything like that. So I was feeding her every 4 hours, almost would right away, maybe 3 weeks after we came home from the hospital. I started every 4 hours and I stuffed her every time I fed her. And the first like 2 or 3 weeks of that was hard. She would cry in between, and then I'd have to like basically distract her from being fussy or whatever. But eventually it was 12, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, midnight, 4 in the morning, 12. And I just kept doing it. And then the 4 a.m. feeding stopped. And then the midnight feeding stopped. And then she was sleeping through the night about 2 or 3 months in.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't until she was like 1 that we got our first like real full through the night. like 7 to 7. Yeah. Before that, she was waking up every night and we were nursing at least once between 7 and
You were
7.
exclusively breastfeeding or trying to?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
was trying to. And at night, yes. But like before bed, and we started feeding her solids at like 5 months. So she's been eating like real food with us, whatever we eat for dinner, like progressively since she was like 5, 6 months.
Yeah. And when you feed them what you're eating, it's not an extra chore to feed them.
Yeah.
That was also the other thing where people were like, "Oh, well,
Yeah,
you
I eat better now.
baby food." Yeah.
Yeah, I like now I have like 5 small meals a day. And then she'll
Making
be
sure
like,
you're getting vegetables and proteins
yeah.
and iron
And
and
she's like, we're a little low on calcium. Can I have some milk? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Let's go get some milk. Um, okay. We only have 20 minutes, so I don't mean to be rushy. But you have one kid. You are a photographer, so I'm assuming you go to
once I got her
weddings.
on that schedule, I was
Yeah.
able then to schedule
Like
her naps. So then, after her first bottle, she would nap somewhere between 9 and 10 o'clock. Then she would have her next bottle at 12, and then another nap around 3, 4 o'clock. So then I knew, okay, those are the time frames that I can either have a client call or I can edit for a little bit or I can, do any back end working and stuff like that. So I knew that if I did that, I'd be able to do everything else. And because I'm stubborn or I'm lucky or whatever anybody wants to say, I was able to do it. So I knew then if I wanted to go grocery shopping, I would feed her, wait that hour, put her in the car. She'd fall asleep the whole ride. We'd grocery shop
sleep through the grocery store.
and then come home. So yeah, I know there are going to be plenty of people that think like I'm oversimplifying it, or maybe I'm just lucky or whatever, or it's the first one. Wait till you have two.
Yeah.
Whole thing. But
It's been lovely.
yeah, I mean, those first 3 months, if you can get through being a parent, those first 3 months without killing yourself or anyone else,
Yeah.
you deserve a medal. I mean, I was sleeping, pumping in the middle of the night, like
I was sleeping, feeding.
yeah,
I co-slept. I was like, fuck
yeah.
it. Here, you nurse, I'm sleeping. Like, fuck this. I'm not trying to be awake for this. You're exhausting. She
Yeah.
also had a tongue tie that I wasn't aware of early enough on. So she wasn't getting enough milk transfer. So there was a lot of that. Whatever. So do you travel for work?
Yes. So that's when I started to pump and then have a supply so that when I wasn't home, my husband or my mother or whoever could feed her. So that's why we did both. In the beginning, I was bottle feeding her and breastfeeding until eventually she was like, I don't give a fuck about this. Just give me the bottle. Like she's been very independent since the beginning, where she was holding the bottle feeding herself at 3 months. So I was like, all right, fuck it. I don't care. I'll just exclusively pump. You can have that. I'll have a storage backup. Like even when I went to Italy in April, I was pumping the whole time I was in Italy, and I brought back like 35 bags of breast milk.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
But traveling for work, I think I was the first overnight I was out doing a wedding in Philly was, I think a month and a half in, a month and a half postpartum. And then I did that 3 or 4 more times. And then my husband and I both went to Boston, and same thing. I had a supply ready for her while I was gone. And then same thing when I came back. But I think because we've been doing that and we've been even small traveling, if we talk about like we went to North Carolina the first 2 months of her life, and she came with us, she drove in the car with us, and we pumped and breastfed that whole trip and did all that together. And she was in the car getting used to the stroller and the sounds and the noises and sleeping in any environment. And I just knew that if I did that right away and I didn't, like, I can vacuum up against the crib and she won't wake up. Like we've been doing that the whole time. So I knew that was the one thing that I was like really that I was really strict about, where even if my mom put her down for it, she just napped. I'm like, so talk at normal volume,
Yeah. She just went down, talk at normal volume, because she doesn't need to be in silence all the time.
Right. I love the machine too. So all that stuff set her up for anything.
Success.
So
Yeah.
I don't need to be there for everything. I feel like we have a healthy attachment style to our kid. We're not like helicopter parents, but obviously we don't just like not give a shit about what's going on with her.
For sure. I love that. Like you were able to go to Boston and like travel without her. Like she couldn't go. I remember my first overnight, like she couldn't go so often because I was nursing. I couldn't be gone that long. And even when I had supply built up or she was doing formula, like there was just that I didn't want to be, I was like, no, I want my tits in your mouth. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
that was always a stretch for me anyway, and it wasn't necessarily that I was like against it, but just for me, I felt
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and maybe she felt that from me
And
because
she
she
was like,
felt whatever
whatever.
about it. But yeah, I mean, I knew that I didn't want to exclusively breastfeed because I knew that would make my life
Yeah.
harder for work.
Yeah.
And then I knew if I was too strict about all the other things, like if I was too strict, like, no, she can't have any formula whatsoever, then that would make my life harder. Or if I knew that, no, I just don't want to have anyone hold her except for me and Dave until X amount of time, then I knew that would make my life harder. So it wasn't, I mean, we could say that having kids is selfish. And some of these decisions I made feel selfish in a way because it was driven by making my life easier. However, she is better for it, I feel. So
Yeah, yeah. I am very adamant. I was on like antidepressants. I use marijuana, like, and a lot of people are very like, you can't do that with kids. You can't do that if you're nursing. You can't, there's all these, I'm my best me when I'm on my medication. And she gets the best me. And like, if you abide by a schedule for it to be your best you, like, yes. Yeah, because then she gets the best you to raise her. Like that's fucking exactly it. Okay, so you're traveling without her,
I
traveling
travel with
with her.
her and without her, yeah. So
You went to North Carolina. Any plane rides with her?
no plane yet.
Okay.
That'll come. I would imagine within a year. I mean, she's 10 months old now. I don't know if we have any trips scheduled for the rest of the year because we also are doing home renovations, so money's tight. But I wouldn't I wouldn't nix it. We're working on getting her passport probably sometime this summer, so she has one, so she's ready.
Yeah. Get
But
that. I actually can tell you, there's a fucking, oh, well, you're really far from there. You're in North Jersey. I'm talking about something in the shore. Dumb. I was going to tell you where we got our passport, but you're not going to drive an hour to go to that place. Why would you do that? Like, what a dumb thing. So North Carolina, how long can you go in the car with her before you need to like switch or she needs to get out? Like, what's your max car length with her?
we don't necessarily switch. So I was raised by a single mom, and while one would grow up with an appreciation that a single parent has to go through certain things alone. To have specific instances now to attach things, I feel like I have like an even greater appreciation for things like not having a partner to sit in the back seat with the baby or to help carry out the shit or in or out of the house when I have the baby. Do I bring the stuff up first? Do I bring the baby up first? Do I leave her inside by herself or do I leave her in the car by herself?
Yeah.
Like there's specific instances now that I think of whenever I'm getting frustrated with something, like if she's a little fussy in the car, say I just didn't time it right or we stayed out too long or whatever the case is, and she's getting fussy. I don't have that panic I feel like a lot of first parents have where they're like, "Oh no, I need to make sure she stops crying." I mean, because you know that nothing is wrong. Like, you know that she's probably just overtired. She ate, you changed her diaper, everything is fine, whatever. But I've developed all these tricks now with her where there's certain music that'll stop her from crying. If I roll up and down the windows a couple times, then she stops crying. If I have like this specific jingly toy I have one of those headrest mirrors so that I can see her. So
Mhm.
sometimes if I see her long enough, like if I make enough faces at her, she'll respond to that and then she'll stop crying. There's certain things. So now, based on every time I think about whether or not like the breaking point is there, and it's like I need to tap in to like my partner, I just think that like my mom didn't have that and she figured
Yeah.
it out. And so I can figure it out. Like it's not the end of the world. And it's also not the end of the world if she's crying. Like I'm not one of those like crazy people that are like, she'll self-soothe. It's been 3 hours. She'll be okay. Like, no, like
Yeah. Within moderation for sure. But like, they don't know how to talk. They don't know
Right.
how to say like, "Hey, I have an itch under my kneecap
Yeah.
and it's really bothering me. Can you get that?" Because like, or
Where they're
what's that?
sitting on a toy, but you don't know
Yeah,
that because they moved
yeah.
it and they fell, or yeah, like there's certain things
Like
like that.
it can, it's because that communication is not there. Like crying is all that they can give you, and as long as you know they're safe, like yes. But at the same time, I also know parents who are like, "No, she's in her room for 7 hours. We're not going in there." And that like
And
for me, that breaks my heart. But like you said, each person has like their own journey, what works for them.
for car
So
rides, I think the comfortable half hour where I don't really have to worry about anything. We can get to an hour if I time it in the right
yeah,
space.
and the right,
And then, I mean, North Carolina or whatever that was, almost 2 or 3 hours. That was no, it's definitely more than 2 hours. It's like it was like 4 or 5 hours, I think. But we stopped in Maryland for food, so she was out anyway, and like so maybe it's like the 2 hour mark. But we
yeah,
haven't
and with the nap,
yeah, with the nap,
yeah.
depends. She she's pretty good at just entertaining herself too. Like sometimes I'll just catch her in the car seat, just looking at her hands like this,
Yeah.
and
I've
I'm just
never seen a kid look so stoned when they just look at their hands like, "You
like,
ever seen these?" And it's like, "Yeah, bud, I have."
I've got these
Um,
fucking hands.
watch this. She's just learned pig in sign language, but she can't do it like this. So she does this and she squeezes her whole face. It's very funny. Um, what was the best part about traveling with her?
Um,
Like being somewhere new and like an
um,
experience, a place,
I
or was
think,
it?
I think, I don't think she's at the age where it really matters yet. Because it's not even like I could be like, oh, we got to see the. Oh, she hasn't, but she's 10 months old. She's just getting it now.
Yeah, she's just like, "Oh, things outside the window move."
Yeah, like before she was like, ah, light, so
Yeah.
traveling with her wasn't like oh, I can't wait to experience this with her. Actually, Dave said it most accurately, I think, when we brought her home from the hospital. He was just like, man, you do not think about this part when you think about having kids. Like you think about, I can't wait to travel with them. I can't wait to teach them this. I can't wait for us to go on this thing or go to this place or go to this park or teach them my favorite blah blah blah. You don't think about the absolute newborn, useless, fucking
Nothing. Yeah.
baby weight bullshit part of it, so
It gets there, and not to be one of those parents who's like, "It gets worse." But I say that she actively is attempting to commit suicide every day.
I
She
know.
walks around trying to jump off things, stick her finger. She stuck her hand down a water grate thing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that is the unknown to the ultimate
Uh-huh.
degree. Like you are sticking your hand in a hole in the ground and just what? And she's just like, "Watch this." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Bro, your arm's gonna get ripped off." Like you're nuts.
Well, and you have the unique experience of having her explore those things everywhere, where most people have like the house and like the room or like this space where they can explore and then gradually open them up to certain things. So I can imagine that being challenging.
Yeah, I literally
I know that
have
if
to
I
be a
don't want her,
helicopter mom because I'm
well,
like,
yeah, because you're literally outside, and in a new space all the time. With
yeah,
her, I know that if I don't want her to get into anything stupid, then I'm like, all right, we're just gonna hang out in your room for a little bit. So like me and her, but I do let her like open all her drawers and open all the things, and every once in a while she'll get her fingers stuck in a drawer or she'll like
yeah.
something, and then she'll realize what she did and freak out and come to
And look
me.
at her hands
Stop.
again for 20
Yeah.
minutes.
And then she'll go back to opening the drawers, but now she's doing it more slowly. And then
Mm-hmm.
so I'm there, but I definitely don't try to keep her from like she would try to crawl off the bed constantly, but I would like hold on to her. I
From
would let her,
one.
yeah, I would let her get to the edge and kind of like stumble into it, but I would hold her so that she didn't actually fall. But now when she's on the bed, she knows when she gets to that edge, and then she's like, "Oh right, I don't want to do that." So,
Mm-hmm. we're at a point where she can reach the light switches. And so she'll climb all the way up to the top of the couch and like balance to flick the light switch. And I'm like, this is the most dangerous thing in the world, but I'm just going to stand by you and wait for you not to fall. Which is dope.
Yeah, because
It's
if you
fun.
can do like I forgot there was somebody who said that the best thing that you can do for your children is to let them do dangerous things carefully.
Ooh, that is such a good one.
I know,
We
right?
got to find out who says that.
No,
It
I
was
forgot.
you. It
It was
was
me.
Drea.
Quote me. So
Yeah.
um
We'll do a nice little like snippet of that and accredit that to you. So 2 more questions before I lose you. I want to know about Italy. Just tell me what it was like traveling abroad while you had a kid at home and like what that shit was like.
Dave and I, my husband,
Is
wanted
he
to go.
there? You can invite him.
No, well,
Oh,
he just checked on the baby. He's like, she's sleeping. I'm like, okay,
oh.
cool. Um, we wanted to go to Italy for our honeymoon. We got married like you did during the pandemic, so
Mm-hmm.
that was not in the cards. So this was like a long overdue trip to Italy. And so when people were like, "Are you gonna take her?" And I was like, no. We planned this trip without her before. We're going without her now. So sorry, I have to be a little selfish here. But it was like we definitely missed her, but it wasn't I I just keep every time I explain this, my mom like rolls her eyes because when I wasn't pregnant, my mom was like, "Oh, you'll see when you're pregnant, when you have your kid, it'll be different. You're gonna be like this, you're gonna think this way, whatever." And I'm like, "I don't know, mom, I'm 32 years old. I feel like I'm kind of set, you
Like I
know."
know my feelings. Yeah.
And so I got pregnant, I had the baby, and I gotta say I was fine. I wasn't like up all night crying, upset, worried about her, whatever. She was also with my mom or my family or my friends that are like family, and it's not like I didn't know where she was,
Yeah. Yeah.
know what was
She's in a
going on.
safe space. I know that she is safe. I'm allowed to enjoy myself. And I
Yeah.
love that you were like, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
I'm totally fine. I woke up every morning, I pumped. We'd go out throughout the day, we'd do whatever. I would time how much I drank by the end of the night so that I had like a buffer time to pump again before I went to sleep. Pump before I go to sleep, and then I would just repeat the cycle. So, I mean, the only thing that was obviously different this trip than my other trips is that I had to pump and I had to be mindful of how much I drank before I pumped again and whatever else, and then freezing it all and then traveling with it all. That
What is
was the
that like?
only it wasn't bad actually.
Do you have to check
Traveling with
that?
it.
How do you like?
So if it's frozen, you can just have it in like a freezer bag and it doesn't count as like your personal item or your carry-on bag. It counts as an additional thing. It counts as like medical supply. So,
Oh,
I know. So, as long as it's frozen, they can just take the whole thing, they put it through the scanner on the conveyor belt and they go, "All right, good to go." If it's not frozen, like if you have a certain amount, it doesn't abide by the 4.2 ounce thing still, but then they have to take it out and then they have to like do the swab time thing on it or whatever, and then it still goes through. But
yeah.
it's more of a hassle if it's not frozen. So because it's a liquid, but when it's frozen, it's no longer a liquid, so it can just pass through really quickly. So the place that we stayed had a freezer. I had the little freezer bags. I would fill it up to the max. I had to leave some of my ice packs at the Airbnb because I filled the bag so much that it
So
didn't fit
much.
the other ones. But I was like, all right, but they're all frozen, so they're the ice packs now, so
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
okay.
And
So
it was.
it was, and I came back with like 35 bags of frozen breast milk. And then I used that as the supply to help me wean down from pumping, and now I no longer pump. So I no longer have to go. All last wedding season, I had to pump during my weddings. Now this wedding season has started. We went before my wedding season started so that I can time it so that I would wean down before I started weddings this season. So now I'm no longer pumping. I no longer have to go to my car or a stall during
A
cocktail
mid.
hour or
Yeah.
whatever and pump. And so I wanted to make my life easier. I knew I wanted her to be on, I had to have breast milk for the year. 10 months, I feel like isn't a bad compromise though. And I have one of those like baby Keurig formula
Yeah.
machines somebody gifted me. So she has that. Now she only
Yeah.
has a bottle in the morning and a bottle at night. That's it.
Yeah, that's I think almost where we're at. She has like she nurses before bed and she nurses kind of like when she wakes up in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, that or if she gets a boo boo.
She gets a boo boo.
Boo boo, can I have some Momo milk, please? Like, no, bitch.
I see you.
Yeah. I
Um,
fell. Ow. Um, my
but yeah,
last
so
I mean, I appreciate you telling us all of this. I feel like I learned a lot, especially about like pumping and traveling and freezing
yeah,
your milk. Like that's
get
so
those
great.
to get those portable pumps was the life changer though, because those first like 2 months and I had like the ones with the
Wearable ones.
cords, no, the cords and like
Oh,
the back and the whole thing
oh yeah.
was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. But then I got like the wearable ones that you put in your bra and you're good to go. Like that changed everything for me in
Yeah.
terms.
Which one did you get? Did you get the Willow?
No, I got one called Mom Cozy.
Oh,
And I was fucking up and moving. I was washing dishes. I was putting shit away. I was doing shit. Like I didn't have to just sit there and wait. And I think that's also why I didn't really want to breastfeed as much. Like I wasn't like as attached to breastfeeding because I also had to sit there and fucking wait,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got things to do. I'm always
Yeah.
got things to do. So, uh, yeah, the wearable ones, that's what I would bring to the weddings. I would pump in the car on the way there, fill up the bags in the
Yeah.
car before I went in. During cocktail hour, pump again, either in my car or in the stall, fill up the bags, and I have like a freezer bag where I had everything. And then on the way back from the wedding, I'd be pumping in the car on the way back home, do the whole thing, put them all in the freezer when I got home. So yeah, I didn't want to do that again. So this season,
Yeah.
I'm free of it.
Now I believe you're pretty much almost booked for the year, right? I think I
Yeah.
saw you had something like seven available slots for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But if someone is interested in like getting time with you or reaching out and booking you next year, how do they get in touch with you?
I am everywhere at HeyDreDay, HeyDreday. That's my website, my Instagram, Facebook,
Everything.
whatever it is, everything. And I do weddings, engagements, proposals, bridal showers, baby showers, birthdays, baptisms, bar mitzvahs, whatever.
If
Um,
I paid for the red truck, will you take Christmas
no,
pictures for us?
no,
No.
I won't. I won't do that, and I won't do boudoir, and I won't do maternity unless it could be in the style that I like doing. I do things more documentary style. I feel like I hate even saying that now because it's become such a like an Instagram buzzword, but I don't love doing editorial stylized shoots. I like if you're gonna do a maternity shoot, I feel like in a white flowy dress on a train track makes no sense. I would prefer you be home in the nursery with the stuff and like you know what I mean? Like
It gives Boris and what's her name, the girl that he like ties to the train
Boris
track
and
and like,
Natasha.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, what the fuck is that shit? That couple you sent me where they do the like couple
Yes.
on your feed engagement shoot or whatever, so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Um,
But not
now
no slack to anybody who does that. That's a really lucrative business. People that do it well, do it very well and make a lot of money. And I will happily refer anybody to like a boudoir photographer or a maternity photographer that does things in the style that I don't do them. I think community over competition. I work with a
agreed.
ton of other photographers that refer me. I refer them, whatever. I don't want to force anyone into my style if it's not something that resonates with them. However, if you are looking for like a more interesting way to do something classic, if you have it in your means, if you're a couple that likes to build Legos and you want your engagement shoot to be you guys building Legos at home, I want to shoot that. You know, like we don't have to do everything the same cookie cutter way.
Hmm. For sure. We did our
Pizza.
like wedding, yeah, well we did our engagement shoot or whatever was like pizza and pool or whatever, and then fucking after we got married we went to a cemetery and took
Yep.
pictures there and like everyone was like that's so fucking weird and I was like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, it's me, like what do you expect?
Yeah, our
um
engagement shoot, we went to a deli in Hoboken where we usually get sandwiches on Saturdays, and like that was our
Yes.
engagement. It
Like
could be anything.
because it's
Yeah,
you. Like
yeah.
whatever. I think it's hilarious. I mean, we have done the like in the park holding hands behind a tree.
Sure.
We've done it.
And I will do them and we'll go to the beach or we'll go to the city or we'll do whatever. But I do think that the best photos come from documenting something that actually resonates with the couple. If we're in a park that you guys hike all the time, or if we're at a certain pier that you guys like to hang out at, or if we're in a botanical gardens that you guys went on your first date to, or something, like, I still want it to be something that means something to the couple too. So that's what I think about when I think about photography. I don't think about it performative for social media. I think about it as making your memories for your family, for your lives that mean something to you, and not as like a show for everyone else.
I love that. I really love that, mostly because that seems to be so much of what life is now. Like the photo for social media, the photo for, I mean, I do it with my family. We take a picture and I'm like, oh my gosh, I like can't wait to post this. And then I'm like, for who? Like, relax. Although look what I'm doing now, you know.
Right. And then I'm the exact opposite, where I'm a photographer by trade and I will not post my kid anywhere on the social media or on.
Yeah.
So, and then everybody has like their opinion on that too. Like, what do you mean? If you did a maternity shoot, I didn't do a maternity shoot, but if you did a newborn shoot and you did a first whatever shoot, you're not going to post it. I'm like, no, I have an album that we made prints for and did whatever for us.
And also, if I'm going to assume if a parent hires you or something and they're like, we don't want you to use this in your.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I post things. One, I don't post a lot of just like baby stuff because that's not really what I do.
Yeah. Your brand, if you will.
Yeah. So, but if anyone were to tell, like, I'm also not one of those photographers that force anyone to do things that they don't want to do. So I'm not like, well, you signed the contract, so I can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't need that. If you say I really don't feel comfortable with my kid on the internet, I'd be like, okay, and then I don't post it. That's fine. And it doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I'm not starved for the content to make other people unhappy with
uncomfortable or unhappy. Yeah.
Stupid like that. Yeah. So
we have 1 minute left, and I'm trying to do this thing where you get to ask me one question.
Can I ask you like two questions that you can answer probably simultaneously?
Yeah.
Why Momo and why Poppy?
Ooh, Poppy, she is named after my grandfather. So he passed away when I was younger. And my mom made sure that every time we passed a veteran, we bought a poppy. And I became like obsessed with those little poppy flowers. And I thought if I ever had a girl, I want to name her Poppy. And we thought we were having a boy and we were going to call him Owen. And then we didn't. We had a girl, and now her name's Poppy.
Now she's Poppy.
And I have a bad, I don't like dad or daddy. I think it's too
Doesn't
dirty.
It sound weird?
It sounds weird. So we
I thought that
decided.
Was just me. Oh.
No, I don't like it. So I made Ryan Appa.
But that's Korean.
Yeah,
right?
But it's also from Avatar, The Last Airbender, and there's Momo and Appa are the like parent, or not parents, but the guiding forces in the Avatar's like life. And I was like, that's us, man. That's us.
And here I am thinking Appa is how you say dad in Korean. And
Momo must be. It must be mom in Korean, right? It must be.
No. I know what mom in Korean is. It's Amma.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please click that follow button. And if you have the time to give us a review, I would so appreciate it. If you know anybody who's interested in travel, parenthood, and chaos, tell them about this show. The more people, the better. And if you'd like to learn more about us, please head to momaticadventures.buzzsprout.com for access to all our information. And I can't wait for next week. Bye.